Awesome.
Okay.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank y'all so much for being here. I truly, truly appreciate it. We're at about 30 people almost right now. Huge shout out. You guys, I'm super, super excited and completely honored to have this amazing guest today, Miss Julia Lashay Israel. Thank you so much for being here. I truly, truly appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Absolutely. So, as the head of inclusion and belonging, Julia Lashay Israel advises, trains, and coaches leaders, team members, and agents to recognize and address diversity, equity, and inclusion opportunities and challenges across the organization. Over the past 20 years, Julia has trained and coached thousands of real estate professionals. A community leader and home ownership advocate, Julia has instructed continuing education courses on diversity, career development, and home ownership. Julia is the co-founder and owner of Refocus University, a real estate training platform focused on the career development and diversity. A licensed real estate broker in Minnesota and Texas, Julia also serves as a managing partner of the Signature Group at Keller Williams Realty Integrity Lakes in Minneapolis. Julia is a founding member and past president of the Twin Cities National Association of Real Estate Brokers. She also serves on the National Association of Realtors Homeowner Opportunity Committee and the Minnesota Association of Realtors Board of Directors. And in 2020, Julia received the Exceptional Service Award conveyed by the Minneapolis area of realtors. My goodness, what a resume. You've accomplished so much. So once again, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
So diving right in, tell me a little bit about how did you get started in the real estate industry?
Well, like you and I was sharing when I said it's very early for y'all at 8 a.m. I actually got into real estate because I didn't want to work a job where I had to be anywhere at 8 o'clock in the morning. That's really what the real, if you ever hear the real story of why I got into real estate, I actually in high school took one of those career assessments that said that maybe I would be a good property manager. So I thought, oh, okay, I went to, and in Minnesota, you have to be licensed to be a property manager. So I went to pre-licensing school. And when I was in there, uh, I found out that people were selling houses and making a decent amount of money, and they were not getting up at 8 o'clock in the morning to do it. And so, so I decided I was going to be one of those. I was going to be a real estate agent, and I wanted the freedom that comes with being an independent contractor, an entrepreneur. And I was actually 17 at the time. I got my license when I was 18. I had to wait to take the test because I wasn't old enough. I got my license at 18, and I was working a part-time job at AT&T Wireless, and I asked for a day off, and they told me no. And I was like, you know what? I got this real estate license. I quit, and I never turned back. So I have been licensed since I've been 18 years old. And I went because I thought I had to be a property manager. That's why I went to the class.
Wow, what an amazing start. So going from, getting your license to be potentially be a property manager to now being the head of inclusion and belonging, what did that journey look like?
Well, a lot of things happened in there. I bought my first house when I was 19, and I realized that in my neighborhood where I lived, most people didn't own their home. And also, most of the people in my community didn't even know how. So I literally just started, you know how often we talk about start your business with your sphere of influence. My sphere were people in my neighborhood, friends that I had, people that I worked my little part-time AT&T job with that didn't know how to be a homeowner. And so I started teaching people in the community how to do that. All of my clients were buyers for many years, many years. In fact, for over 15 years, I only serviced buyers, first time home buyers to be exact. And most of them were Black because they were in my neighborhood and at my church and in my, and so from there, I started to kind of get involved in teaching people in underserved communities. We called it at that time. Nobody called it DEI. Okay, nobody did that until like 2 years ago. And nobody called it diversity, equity. When did you get involved in diversity and equity? We didn't call it that. We were selling houses to Black people. That's what we were doing, and we were teaching them how to buy houses. And I started writing curriculum and teaching classes and I did first time home buyer classes for literally well over 15 years. I did them every Saturday for 10 years. I ran a nonprofit where we taught home buyer education. And so I started being involved in committees and things of that, committees and boards and neighborhood organizations and city councils and community advisory committees and all of those things, simply because that was my client base. I was just helping my clients. And it evolved into getting involved into, I still freelance write about diversity. We call it now diversity, equity, and inclusion. We call it, and things like that in the real estate community, which is essentially how I ended up in this role, is because I had a long history of doing that in Minnesota and doing things as it relates to historically marginalized communities in Minnesota. And long story short, that's really how I landed here at Keller Williams as the head of inclusion and belonging. Because in 2020, like many companies, Keller Williams said, with after the murder of George Floyd, which happened down the street from our market center, you know, Keller Williams said we should do something, like a lot of companies did. And our something was to educate our agents more about the disparities that exist in real estate and in the industry and in the community and in the country. So we started setting out to do that, and it's evolved into, as you all probably know, something much larger than that now.
Wow, that's absolutely amazing. I love the fact that it kind of blossomed organically, right? It just capitalized on what you were already doing in the community, which is amazing. And that actually leads right into my next question. So taking on this role, what was your main objective coming into it, and how has that kind of changed or maybe shifted over the past few years?
Good question. Yeah, initially I was hired to teach two classes. One, the color of real estate, and two, unconscious bias in real estate. The color of real estate is really just about the history of land transfer, land ownership, who has owned, who has not owned, who's had barriers, who has not, and most importantly, our role as real estate professionals in that. So as part of our initiative, to this new DEI phenomena that everybody jumped on, the goal was to educate our agents about that. And the other class, unconscious bias, was really just to make us better real estate agents. And we had identified that if we teach at least 10,000 agents how to do those two things, then we would be making an impact in the real estate industry. And so initially I was literally just hired to teach real estate agents how to be better real estate agents. Because we do believe that most people in the United States build their wealth through real estate. And if that's the case, then we literally become the transferers of the wealth of America. The real estate agent is at the helm of every transaction. And it's either the conduit to the American dream or the barrier. So my job was really just to teach our Keller Williams agents how to be better real estate agents. But when I got here, I was like, y'all need a whole lot more than some classes. So I created this robust GPS that I thought was like this great, beautiful thing. And I'm like, here's all the things that I have in a week's time discovered that you need, right? And so we of course had the social equity task force, which Gary had created that social equity task force, and each region had ambassadors. So we had a GPS for that, and I elaborated on that GPS. Now, if you ever want to have your GPS shredded to pieces, show it to Gary. I show Gary this elaborate GPS that I created that I'm like, here's all the things that we should do and we need to do. And I remember he says, that's nice, dear, for a 5-year strategy and a 10-person team. What are you going to do? Wow. And so I went back to teaching the two classes, but we've slowly but surely evolved into more than just education. And expanded that education. And we do have a pretty robust diversity, equity, and inclusion plan and strategy of how we believe we can be the most inclusive real estate company in the world, and how we can be the real estate company of choice for all historically marginalized clients and agents, and really make a big impact in the world and help more people attain wealth through the things that we're doing here at Keller Williams.
Wow, I absolutely love that. I personally would be petrified to show Gary Keller my GPS.
I was so proud. I was like, look, he's like, no.
He's like, oh, that's cute.
Yeah, that's not going to be realistic. Yeah.
I love that. So doing the work that you do, I'm sure you faced many challenges. What would you say has been the biggest challenge, and how do you overcome that?
Um, I see challenges as opportunities. And so that's always a hard question for me to answer. I think in the beginning, just recognizing how many issues there are in the world that we can't fix. Right.
Mm,
And so initially, I would take that weight home. When I first started this role, I got every day lots of calls of things that were happening to people, our agents out in what we call the field, out
mhm,
there, they would say, this happened at my market center, my team leader did this, or my OP said this. And initially, I would take that home and it would just be a really heavy weight, of wow, people are really mistreated out here. Um, and feeling like we had to solve the world's problems.
mm,
And also that everybody wasn't necessarily on board with doing that. Everybody didn't want, there was a lot of people initially that did not want us to, they would write letters to Gary, you shouldn't have that girl out here talking about that diversity, equity, and inclusion. One person wrote this letter, the company's going down, it's going down fast, because we were doing, and so there was a lot of people who opposed what we are doing. And I that was a challenge at first until I recognized it as an opportunity and really saw it for what it was, which is that we had a whole lot more people to educate than I thought. It
mm,
was really just a severe lack of education and a severe lack of ignorance and lack of understanding. And so I see that as an opportunity now when people call and say, guess what my OP did? I find it as it's an opportunity to me. I actually welcome the opportunity to have those conversations. Because at least here in our organization, we do have a set of standards and behaviors and Y4C2Ts. And so most people, even if they're opposed, they're respectfully opposed. And most of them are open to hearing a different perspective. And so we absolutely are making a change. Um, and so I enjoy it now, but in the beginning, the challenge was, God, these people are mean. Yeah, these people are horrible people, and now it's really an opportunity of, oh, this is going to be fun. I would love to talk to them about their perspective. But there was that challenge and taking on the emotion of all the agents that were in the social equity task force who felt like who were also carrying that burden and didn't have the tools to handle it correctly or really felt like it was their responsibility to change the world.
mhm.
But that in the beginning was the challenge of feeling like the world was on our shoulders. And now I recognize, one, it's an opportunity, and two, we can only uh, control ourselves.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Uh, I I can only imagine the amount of obstacles that you face, like as far as like even with teaching the classes, and like you said, running into people that didn't want to learn and didn't want to
Mhm.
be educated. What drives you to like continue doing that, after facing, different adversities or obstacles or opposition?
That's a really good question that I ask myself every day. Why am I doing this? No, I'm kidding. Well, even to the same when I would teach those home buyer classes, I taught them every Saturday for 10 years. And almost every Saturday I would wake up early in the morning and it was my nonprofit. So I had to bring the snacks and I had to load the car and I had to get the manuals. And every Saturday I wake up like, why am I doing this? But the second I got into the classroom and those people were there and we started having the conversation, every time it was worth it. And
Mm,
it's just like going to the gym. You're like, oh my God, I hate this. Why am I doing this? But once you get there, it's the getting there part. And so a lot of times it is like, why am I doing this? But when you start to see the impact that it does have, slow as it may be, and maybe it's just one person, the reward of being able to contribute to something that is this meaningful and impactful, it is a motivation thing. It is a great thing. I was teaching a class in Minnesota, and a guy, it was required. See, the thing about Keller Williams classes, ours are not required, right? So the people that show up actually want to learn about it. And I told Gary when I first got here, listen, people who need diversity training are not going to come to diversity training. Let's tell you that right now. They don't show up. You don't have the challenge of people who are hateful because they won't even come to learn. They're not even learning based people, right? So you don't even have to worry about them being in the class. They won't be there, you know. But when I also teach required classes, and sometimes I have to teach classes because people have been sued and they have lawsuits, and I'm coming to be like, because I'm the required education as part of your settlement. So those classes are a little bit different, but I was teaching one of those classes, and a guy came up at the end of the class and he said to me, "Hey, I'm going to be honest, I'm only 80% on board with the stuff that you're talking about, but I have to say this is the best fair housing class I've ever taken." And I said, "You know what? Up five. I'll take your 80% all day long." And his name was so familiar looking, and I couldn't think of who he was. I went and looked him up after he told me it was the best fair housing class he had and gave me a high five. He's 80% on board. I took your 80. And I had done a transaction with him many years ago, and he and his clients had refused to sit in the same room with me because I was Black.
Wow.
Because I'm like, I know this guy's name from somewhere. So I looked him up and it was him. And I was like, that was rewarding to me. That was like, he came and said he liked the class, and only a few years ago, he wouldn't even sit in the same room with me, you know? And
Wow.
so it's a challenge and it's a lot that we do. But those moments like that where you're like, and that moment didn't just change his perspective on real estate. I'm sure he has a family that he's been spewing that kind of hate to, right? So now he's taking his little shift in mindset home, and maybe he'll share it with the people that and so there's the thing of like, I guess I'm doing a little bit of good in this world, even if it's just one little crazy person at a time.
Yeah.
But look, I'll take the 80%, and so that keeps me motivated. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I was just gonna ask, maintaining a positive mindset, like while doing that and encountering somebody like that, like you said, that refused to sit in the same room as you, but
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
being able to go up there and teach and like you said, taking the 80%, like maybe he's a little bit different now, right?
Yeah, I'm good with that. Next time, maybe he'll sit in the same closing room. Next time, maybe he'll even be nice. Like maybe we'll see. We're making progress out here.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what advice would you give to an agent that is looking to, maybe do something similar and get involved with the diversity, equity, and inclusion community and becoming an agent of distinction, not only in their business, but also in their community?
Um, Here's what I'll say about that. The reason that I am so passionate about this is because, like I just said, people in the United States built their wealth through real estate. That's how this country has run for hundreds of years. And what we do then becomes tremendously impactful. If I turned on the news right now, they'll probably be talking about interest rates. Other than the war, they're going to be talking about interest rates and the economy. And real estate circulates this country's economy. What we do is tremendously impactful in the United States economy. So as an agent of distinction, which what that means is that the agent of distinction is not even necessarily about real estate agents. It's a play on the word change agent, being an agent of change.
Mhm.
And the word distinction is actually a synonym for diversity and a synonym for excellence. So an agent of distinction is someone who is going out there and doing something positive in a way of excellence for everybody. And as a real estate agent, we already are doing that. We are in a very impactful role in American society as real estate professionals. So my advice to people would be to just do that. Do what you're doing now at a really high level. You're here because obviously you are learning based. Learn about how can you help more people engage in this wonderful world of real estate, particularly build wealth through real estate. There are a lot of historically marginalized people in communities that have not had access, don't know how to get the access, don't know what to do. I expect us as agents of distinction to really be the light in our communities and say, hey, I know how to do it. And I have all the tools and resources to help anybody and everybody who wants to do that, do that. Uh, that means that we should be involved in the community. We should be teaching home buyer education classes. We should be talking to the youth. I just saw my business partner posted this morning. He's been going to all these middle schools and high schools, and he meets with these young people and just talks to them about being an entrepreneur. And he shows up in his little fancy Corvette with his hat on backwards, and they think he's so cool, and really he's giving them wealth advice and life advice, and they're listening to him because he looks cool to them. But that's our job as real estate professionals. It's like we have to share what we know, and not just with our clients, in the industry too. We should be leaders in our community. They're making rules about how we sell real estate right now. They're
Mhm.
making laws about it on your city councils and in your zoning commissions, and we should be involved in those committees and in those community events and in leaders in those spaces. So an agent of distinction to me is a real estate agent who is involved in our community and who does have the tools and the resources and the information to help anybody and everybody. And by anybody and everybody, I mean like some random person that walks up and is like, oh, I want to buy a house, but my credit is 500. And hey, I don't even have a social security number. I'm from whatever country and I just got here. You know, there's actually tools that people can buy houses. We have I-10 buyers. We have, where I'm from, we have Islamic financing because we have a large Somali population and they don't use interest, a lot of them. You need to know about these things as a real estate agent so that when someone approaches you, you have the resources and tools to help them. Because there's a statistic out there that if someone approaches you who doesn't think that they can buy a house and you don't have the proper tools or resources and you say, yeah, you probably can't, they won't try again for 7 years.
Wow.
Think of the wealth that people lose in 7 years because they accidentally encountered you.
Yeah.
Instead of another agent who actually knows how to sell real estate, you know? So I think our job is to know how to do a really good job for everybody and anybody, and to be an advocate for all of that, and to be involved in our communities and to be involved in our associations. As much as people talk bad about NAR, there's a whole lot of good that we should be involved in doing. So all of those things, I think, are how we become agents of distinction.
Wow, that's absolutely amazing and solid advice, right? Just getting active and getting out there and doing it. And you said something really, really good. Being the person that can help, anybody
Yeah.
invest in real estate, get into real estate.
Or if you don't want to, because there was a lot of agents in our office and they didn't want to help those first-time home buyer clients because our team, I'm proud to say this, our team was for a very long time the number one team in Minneapolis, number one team in our market center. We've been having a bad year, so I can't say that this year. But we used to joke, like, because we would go up against a couple of other teams, fun competition in our market center. They're number one, we're number one, and they would be selling luxury homes. But our joke was, man, we beat you with down payment assistance, okay? Like we stacked programs on programs on programs. Some of my clients have 4 programs stacked, right? Like so. Wow. But the beauty and the fun in all of that is that, I mean, it's more meaningful to us, and we're not doing as well. But even for you all, if you sold one house this week or this month, even, man, you're helping, you're contributing, like you're out there doing the do, and that's to me what this is all about.
Absolutely, absolutely. I know we're winding down here. I want to open it up to the floor. We have about 40 people on right now. Does anybody have any questions for Julia? Because I have a whole list and I can keep going on and on. I wanted to be fair and give some other people some opportunity.
Anyone?
Hi, Julia.
Hi.
Hi. I'm Hallie. I'm leader here for Long Beach Coastal, and thank you so much for being on here and sharing everything you have.
Thank you.
What is it that we have to look forward to in 2024 from the DEI community and for yourself? Anything coming down the pipeline that we can keep our eyes out for?
Yes, thank you for asking. So I'm looking over here because this is where I have my whole GPS. It's like this whole huge board on my wall. But yes, first and foremost, I'd love if you all could help me get more people to the classes, Color of Real Estate and Unconscious Bias, because we've done the math. 10,000 agents a year is our goal, because if we could we have 170,000, by the way. If we could just get 10,000 agents to take that class every year, and they do just one thing different, just help one more family, then we individually, as an organization, as Keller Williams Realty, can individually change the trajectory of the disparities that exist in the United States in real estate homeownership. We did the math, but I need your help to tell other people to take them. So they can find that on events.kw.com. We also have a podcast, The Color of Money, which I have to hurry up because we have a recording at 10:30. And that's to help people build wealth as well. So look for the Color of Money podcast. You can find it on my Instagram or online or wherever. I'm writing a book about the color of real estate. So that's something I'm doing in 2024. There'll be a book about really the history of it, but most importantly, it's for real estate agents. It's about our role in it and what real estate looks like in the future as it relates to the demographics. Because I think a lot of us are missing the ball on what's really about to happen here. So that next, really, I've been focused on helping people build big teams and get into investment and ownership. So I think we have an opportunity. It's a very challenging year for everyone. But in any challenge presents opportunity. In any crisis, the real estate industry is kind of in crisis, but that's a good thing because every crisis brings a wealth of opportunity. Back in 2008, I was listening to the radio, 2000, you know, that era where we had those issues. In the radio, a guy said, "Never waste a good crisis." And I've always taken that to heart. I've always been like waiting for the next crisis because that means that there's a lot of opportunity. So in this, and I just got off. I teach buyer representation, so I just got off a NAR training about how we'll teach buyer representation in light of this whole lawsuit thing. I think there's a ton of opportunity for teams and our market centers to grow bigger based on how well we do our jobs. So that means there's an opportunity for us to be better real estate agents, recruit people to our teams, build bigger market centers. And so I'm kind of on a mission in 2024. It's really a large part of my GPS is to help market centers do that, to help us recruit brokerages, to help us recruit other agents to our team and do this in a way to help us become the most inclusive real estate company in the world. That's the 2024 mission.
Wow. That is absolutely amazing. I know I personally have been inspired just by listening to you. I'm inspired every time I hear you speak. But getting to have this opportunity to chat with you, the vision for 2024 sounds absolutely amazing. And I would definitely work with Kim on getting some of these classes in our market centers. And definitely, it's been absolutely amazing. Last question. Last piece of advice that you can give to our agents to go forth and prosper?
Focus on you. And by that, what I really mean is it is really time to focus on your real estate business. Be intentional and focused with building your business. It is hard for real estate agents out there. And so the first thing is we need you to survive. So whatever you're doing that's a distraction, stop that and focus on your business. And then in the same way that I'm asking everybody to be these agents of distinction, focus on you. People get caught up in like, oh, other people aren't buying into this, or how do we get more people to be on board with our mission to be, you do it. You be the, you demonstrate what inclusion looks like in your market center. You demonstrate what an agent of distinction looks like. Focus on there's that little meme with that little girl talking about focus on yourself. Yeah, focus on yourself, okay? And if we can all focus on ourselves and focus on our own business and focus on being great real estate agents and great fiduciaries and great agents of distinctions and being inclusive leaders in our market centers, then that means people will either get on your bus or they'll get off. Either way, you're going to be on a journey of excellence and get there. So that's my advice. Focus on yourself. Yeah.
Awesome. Amazing, solid advice. Julia, thank you so much once again for being here. This has been absolutely amazing. I know tons of people got tons of nuggets from you.
I hope so.
So thank you so much.
Thank you all. Thank you for having me. I'll see you all soon.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.